Hey everybody, in this video we will be going through how to create a project management system. We will go through the basic architecture and the basic automations to get that going. So basically, let's start by having a clients table. For sure, by the way, let's make this fully blank. Let's also have a projects table. Now, usually how this goes is you have projects, and the project, depending on what phase the project is in, it will have specific default tasks, okay? So to such effect, let's make sure that we have a phases table, which we can actually call something like phases library, right? Because here we will be listing the different phases, which could be phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. This, for sure, many of you will think about this, or will think or ask yourself, hey, why is it that we don't use phases as a single select field within the projects table? There are many reasons for it. We'll go through that in a couple of minutes, but FYI, this is a way more scalable and robust solution, okay? So let's say that projects, they are linked to clients. One project can be linked only to one client. So let's say client, and let's have a client A here. Now, moving forward, we can say, hey, project, let's call this project A. Project A is linked to, let's give this a second, it's linked to client A, okay? So now we said that projects should have phases. So let's have our phase field. So right here it is that we will say, hey, project A corresponding to client A is currently under phase 1 or is currently under phase 2. The idea is that depending on the phase in which the project is found, the tasks that we will need to create. But we do not want to create this manually, but we want to have them by default. Let's start off by having the tasks table, which is linked to the project, right? So we'll have tasks linked to project. In this way, we will be able to say, hey, task A is linked to project. Task A is linked to project A. There it goes. Task B is linked to project B. However, when you have, usually on your workflows, you will definitely have some sort of default or template tasks, such as, for instance, under onboarding phase, you will want to create Slack channel, email agreements to client, so on and so forth, right? And each time that you are under onboarding phase, the exact same default tasks should be created. So we do not want to manually create these for each specific project. So what we will actually do is we will have a tasks library table where we will have a list of all corresponding tasks, such as send LOI to client, create Slack channel, invite users to Slack channel, or whatever set of tasks that you see fit, right? Now, each of these tasks, they are linked to a given phase. Do remember that we are setting here like the setup or the configuration or the architecture of this system. So we will want to have each of these tasks linked to a given phase. So by default, the idea, for instance, is that if we select, or if we link send LOI to client to phase 1, then each time that the project hits phase 1, we will have an automation that will be creating tasks, or that those specific tasks, under the tasks table, and those will be linked to the corresponding project. So let's go back to the tasks library. And let's say that create Slack channel is also phase one and invite users is also phase one. Now let's have schedule kick off meeting. Let's say this is phase two, for instance. And maybe let's say invoice client. Let's just say that this is also phase two. Now, in this way, as mentioned a minute ago, if we set this up in this way, where we say, hey, all of these ones, if we group by phase, this is clear, right? Where we say, hey, I have all tasks that need to be created automatically for a given project each time we hit phase one. These tasks need to be created automatically for a given project, and all of that will be happening in the tasks table when the project hits phase two, right? So we now have the super basic architecture for it, meaning we have clients are linked to projects, and projects have tasks. However, we yet do not have the automation for it. Just for the sake of it, let's also link the tasks, the task library here, so that we have some sort of reference when we build this, and you'll see how this interacts. Now let's create automations for it. So let's say when a record gets updated, meaning when a record on the project table gets updated, or the field phase gets updated, then go ahead and find all records, which records, those from the tasks library table, which meet certain condition being where phase is exactly the phase that got now updated. So from the record which triggered the automation, which is a record on the projects table, get the ID of the phase, right? So that's how we will find all tasks linked by default, or the template tasks corresponding to the corresponding phase. So now we will include a repeating group. What this will do is it will get if we can select the input list for all those records found on this action right here, which was the find records. So if we select those as input for each of those, then do certain actions. Which actions? Create record. Where? Within the tasks table. And the fields that we will be filling out there are name, project, and task, for example, where name will be from the current item, meaning the iterated task within the list found here. So the current item get the name. This will bring the name of the task. Now for project, we should be using the project which triggered the automation, right? So we'll say this block right here, get the record ID. This will bring the record ID of the project. Now for tasks, and just for reference, we might want to have the linked field to the tasks library record. Okay, so from the current item, meaning the iterated record within this block, so we are here now, get the record ID and stamp it there. So let's call this automation create tasks. So let's give this a shot. So if we go to projects, let's assume this is blank for a minute, and let's go to tasks. Let's make sure this is blank. And now let's trigger our automation by saying, hey, project A is under phase one. By doing that, the automation will get triggered. It will fetch tasks from task library, and it will create those under tasks table. As you can see, those were created, and there we have the corresponding name of the task, we have the project, and we have, just for reference, a link to the template task. Let's hide this for a minute, and let's say that we want to have a single select, which will be status, right? So we could have pending, in progress, complete. And in this way, you definitely have now the pretty basic architecture for project management.